This is day 347, the life lesson from the Iron Tiger. One of the most exciting chess battles was the 1966 chess championship between Tigran Petrosyan and Boris Spassky. Tigran was the world champion at the time, having won the 1963 championship decisively against the very famous Mikhail Botvinnik. In my chess studies, there was a time period when I went carefully through many of the World Chess Championship games in hope of learning something. The Iron Tiger, Tigran, did not disappoint. I learned an interesting lesson both in life and chess. Leading up to this match was an amazing interzonal chess event held by the Dutch Chess Federation. The up-and-coming superstar Bobby Fischer was in one of his many arguments with the international chess organization known as FIDE. They bent to some of Bobby's demands, but he still refused to play. The Russians had such a dominance at the time that one of the rule changes was not to allow all the finalists from the interzonal event to come from the same country. This was an exciting time in chess. The old chess guard was still in control, but new challengers were on the horizon. There were a lot of issues being debated at the time, and it was interesting to see how the political struggles between countries, the personal disputes among some of the players, and the desire to make the game more competitive so other countries would stay engaged. The games were exciting, and the stage was set to determine who would go up against Tigran Petrosyan for the 1966 World Chess Championship. The interzonal ended up with 3 Russian grandmasters and 1 Danish grandmaster, Bent Larsen, as 4 candidates to compete for the final position. Long story short, the final round was between the former world champion Mikhail Tal and the new rising star Boris Spassky. Tal was definitely the fan favorite. He played stronger now after some health challenges and was considered a remarkable genius. His attacking style and daring moves made for some exciting chess games. To this day, he remains a favorite, tremendously influencing the chess community. However, Spassky kept these games from becoming Tal fireworks shows and slowly brought the gameplay to a dull 6 draws in a row. Perhaps Tal just grew tired because in the end, Spassky beat him 3 games in a row to become the candidate that would take on the world champion. The championship games began with a packed audience to watch. All the world's most famous chess players watched Spassky try to defeat the Iron Tiger. There would be a total of 24 games between the two of them, with Tigran eventually outlasting Spassky and beating him by 1 point. Tigran would keep his title. My focus now is to discuss Game 7 of this championship. This is the game where I started to understand a fundamental concept in chess, but more importantly, in my own life. As you probably know, statistically winning with the white pieces is easier. This is because white has the first move and starts the initiative. In this game, Petrosyan has the black pieces. This game ended up being an attacking game for which Spassky was often to do. This game was known as the Tor attack, also called the Cole system. This game follows the common gameplay up until move 11. Here Spassky makes a completely different move, preferring to keep his dark square bishop. The position after move 11 is seen here. Now, in move 10, there was d took e5 and then knight to d7. And this is what happens. Tigran retreats the knight to a defensive position and at the same time attacks the e-pawn. At this point, there's many options, but the most common option was for the bishop to take bishop. Spassky did not do that. He moved his bishop back. What is notable about this knight move by Tigran is that he always seems to elect very tight, closed positions where all his pieces are tightly guarded. Note the structure of Tigran's pawns and pieces compared to that of Spassky's. This slow, deliberate play was what Tigran became known for. Slow, defensive play. However, there's a lot more going on here than that, which is where the lesson comes in. After a few more moves, we end up with this position. You will see here that there is a battle going on for this weak e-pawn. This is typical in this position. In this case, Spassky chose to position his knight on f3 to add more support to that forward pawn. Tigran's response is to advance his pawn to h6. Clearly, the intent is now to threaten the bishop on f4, but also slowly build his defensive position and start to squeeze his opponent. Later, there will be a dramatic moment that will occur in this game. What happens first is the slow and methodological narrowing down of the white piece's ability to have any space. The game continues, and Tigran continues to apply pressure to this dark square bishop. Each move by Tigran accumulates a slight advantage in space and in position. This is subtle, but it is happening. Each move improves the situation by black ever so slightly. Here is the position after move 17. Notice a few things that have happened now. Tigran did push that black bishop around, and that is how the pawns ended up being on the H rank. Spassky knew his space was getting constricted, so he was attempting to create space on the A and B ranks by moving the pawns up. Tigran just moved his pawn to C4, and note the effect. The position is now closed off. The black bishop is left forever defending the E-pawn, and the white square bishop now has to retreat and is largely ineffective. Black is accumulating small advantages, all the while leaving most of the pieces on the board well defended. After some more moves, we arrive at this position. This is after move 22. Tigran just made the move b5, after Spassky's attempt to advance the A-pawn even further. This is once again a highly defensive move. This completely seals off any real threat of an attack on that side of the board. Meanwhile, Tigran is building pressure on the G rank, with the doubled up rooks aiming down on the G2 pawn. Notice all the things that are going on here on that side of the board. Pressure is being applied, and there are some real threats going on here. Spassky does not seem to be in any immediate danger, but what is going on is that black is growing in small advantages. Move by move, Tigran is gaining an advantage, incremental improvement. A powerful chess engine would give Tigran at least a pawn advantage at this point of the game. Now we come to the moment where the small incremental advantages become so powerful that Tigran can make a stunning and soul-destroying move. This move would light the chess world on fire and was probably the beginning of the end for Spassky in this championship. Here's the position at this point in the game. Spassky just moved his knight to h2, fending off the nasty black rook and potentially freeing the white squared bishop. The problem is that Tigran has built too much of an advantage at this point in the game. He is now allowed to take some risks. He can afford to do that because of the advantages he has earned with this slow and cumulative play. Can you spot Tigran's next move here? This is the moment where Tigran wins the game. He does not win right away, but he gains the equivalent of having 2 pawns advantage on his opponent. And in GM play, that type of advantage usually means game over. Look very carefully. What move has Tigran been wanting to make this entire game? What move would he make now that would be a potential risk? Remember, this is the World Championship match. He is playing the new superstar from the Russian Botvinnik school. This younger man does not make mistakes. Only precise play will beat him. So what do? What is your move? Tigran chose to take the e-pawn with the knight. So knight takes e5. If you notice that leaves the rook still under threat. So Spassky takes the knight with knight takes g4, taking the rook. Then Spassky replies by taking the knight with h takes g4, and then you have e4 pawn move, and then Tigran plays bishop to d6. The game now shifts. The momentum is in favor of Petrosyan. His small incremental improvements have led to this moment, and now he has all the initiative in the world. After move 30, f5, the game looks like this in position 6. You can see the squeezing effect of Tigran's play at this point in the game. He is slowly crushing Spassky and has his pieces under control. Meanwhile, the black pieces have all the freedom and movement required. This starts to force Spassky to make tough decisions. Spassky attempts to penetrate the position with his queen, but is quickly forced to retreat. The defensive play of Petrosyan is just too strong. Finally, at the end, Spassky has his queen and his 2 rooks sandwiched into the back ranks, and the positional play of Tigran is so dominating he can sacrifice yet another piece. Here's the position at this point. At this point in time, Tigran then plays 41 knight g4. This is even another knight sacrifice. Spassky is forced to sacrifice a rook to even stay alive at this point. However, his defeat is all but certain. So then he just resigns. This is the look of the board after the resignation. When I first studied this game, I came to a realization of how chess is supposed to be played. A contest in which you are slowly trying to build one small incremental improvement at a time. Once you reach a situation where that accumulation of benefits can be used, then you can strike and push your advantage and hopefully win the game. I also made this connection in my own personal life. Far too often I sought the quick win or the rapid climb to success. However, after gaining this understanding, I realized that life is much the same. We need to slowly improve, one increment at a time. Once we've accumulated enough, if we are fortunate, then we may have the chance to use that accumulation of benefits to do something amazing. This game and Petrosyan's methodical style taught me that both chess and life are about patience and persistence. Just as Tigran built his position move by move, we too must focus on small improvements in our lives. The key to success lies not in the immediate triumph, but in the steady accumulation of advantages, waiting for the right moment to capitalize on them. Petrosyan's victory over Spassky was not won by a single move, but by his commitment to a strategy of incremental gains. And in life, as in chess, it is these small, thoughtful steps that lead to long-term success. This game stands as a reminder that the path of victory is often slow and deliberate, but ultimately it is those who understand the value of patience who will triumph in the end.